Hi, it's still Barbecue Brian. That's me. And I was on Global TV and I shared more of the techniques on cooking brisket. And it wasn't really a recipe or anything, and I thought I'd give you a chance to see, or me to elaborate on what those steps are to cooking brisket. And so it all starts off with, again, like I showed you, one of these big ones here, and you've got a meatier side and one side that's usually all fat that's on there. Now focus on this fat, the meatier side, and you want to trim out some of these right here with a really sharp knife, so this whole side, all you see is meat. That's good, okay? And then you can apply either mustard or olive oil or something like that, and your rub. This would be a good choice. The competition,
that's the rib rub.
Beef rub, there we go. All right, get the beef rub all on there. On the fat side, for me, I generally don't trim at all. You can if you want to. If you've got something that's a great big pocket, you can trim that one. But generally, I don't. You can save that to the end when you're ready to slice up, and it's easy to carve off at that point. So once your brisket is ready, and you're getting ready to cook, smokers and charcoal or pellet grills are perfect for this, because they're going to cook A, indirect, and B, at a long duration at a good moderated heat. So you can give yourself some smoke in there to give some great flavor. If you're going to try on a gas grill like this behind me here, it's really challenging and a lot more difficult. Can you? Sure. But that's really applied in trying to do that and takes up a lot of energy. If you've got a smoker, this is perfect. Leave it at 200 to 250 degrees. And again, it's going to be 60 to 90 minutes or so per pound. It might take a little bit longer, it might be a little bit less, depending on so many different things like the brisket and how it cooks and temperature, wind, all kinds of things like that. So leave it alone, let it go. It might be 5 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours in, and you check it just like I showed, where it's got a nice crust on the outside. You can touch it, but there won't be any divot in the meat, and there won't be anything on your finger, maybe a little bit of residue, that's about it. But it's got some nice crust. It may even feel like sandpaper. The meat will be about 160 degrees, and it's going to sit at that temperature for quite some time. That's a good point when it's got that crust to move into the next step, where you can wrap with foil if you choose to do so. If you wrap with foil, just like this, is put the brisket in there. You could add in some beef stock, maybe a little bit of barbecue sauce, maybe a little bit more rub. It's all up to you what you want to put in that foil packet. Wrap it up nice and tightly and back in your cooker to continue cooking. You're nowhere near ready to be finished here. And temperature, your thermometer, like I said, is your friend, and this will help you all the way along on that. So back in the cooker, same temperature, and let it keep cooking, and it'll start to rise. It might take a couple hours, but it'll start rising in temperature, and then this is where the science starts to turn into an art. The temperature on here, 195 degrees, 200 degrees, 205, 208. I've sometimes had briskets that were still a little bit snug at 210 degrees. This is where it needs to feel, as I described, like a potato that you've boiled and you're getting ready to mash them. The probe is going to go into the brisket. It's going to be around 200 degrees, I'll guarantee that, but it'll be soft, and the potato's not going to fall apart, but it'll be nice and soft and easy to push the probe through the meat. That's the perfect time to remove it from your cooker and start resting your brisket. Rest it in a cooler, if you will, an oven that's off, and just let it sit in there for at least an hour, if not more than that. If you've got a longer duration, you may need to supplement with a little bit of heat, like turning your oven on at 170 degrees, just to make sure it stays nice and safe and warm for you. But let it rest, and include that rest time in your cooking time to give yourself a little bit more of that patience and less stress when you're cooking. So that was a really quick overview. I know you can scroll back and go through some of those tips, but hopefully you can see where this is an awesome thing to cook, and I encourage you to try that, especially if you've got some great rubs and sauces to use. I'm Barbecue Brian, and that's the 101 on cooking brisket.